Are there any questions? Remarks? Yeah?
Is it possible that humanity is now, as a whole, it's very conceptual, is a collection of selves together, and evolving into a period where we are able to find ourselves, themselves again, or is it just me who's thinking this?
Yeah, you were questioning about future developments in which more and more selves becomes conscious of that unconditioned self. Yeah, see, that is a question at a mental level, because you are thinking in terms of time, in terms of persons, and there is a past and there is a future, and you see that more and more people become conscious of themselves, and then the question comes, hey, in which direction it goes. Oh, it would be nice when more and more people became conscious of the unity of all selves. Yeah. At a relative level, you can see that, that many people are searching for unity, of course.
There's a tendency.
And yeah, but what can be said about it? You see how it went with utopias of Marx, for instance. When they say, oh, that will be the future. Then you have a deterministic system, and we must help it. And you see the consequences. So don't project into the future. And go back to yourself here and now, as we did before, first of all, at the bodily level, and see then that there is a development beyond time, the conception of time, and then it happens. That's a point which is important. All kinds of thoughts or distractions. Oh, this is interesting, that's interesting, this. No, stick to what's most important. That's the beauty of the Advaita approach. No, go back to what's most important. And then, oh, that opening, that liberation can go very fast. It is recognition. Not in time, it is immediate, without media. This, oh yeah, so fast. It is a direct way. Direct way and immediate way is not a way. It is waking up. Oh, So, this. Okay. Ready.
Could you speak a little bit about your experience in the presence of Advaitacentrum Maharaj?
Will that be a distraction?
No, wouldn't be.
No, it's often a distraction because then there are coming some tales and narratives. Oh yeah, that was important. Oh yeah.
How you felt in his presence?
Yeah. Again, is that important to you?
Yes and no. It's just, I'd like to hear from you, that's all.
Yeah. But
It's
what I
okay
just
if you
said
don't
is
want it,
stick to what is most important. And so I can say something about it, but then in this context, that what I said this evening, that it was that which I recognized. In the neighborhood of Nisargadatta Maharaj. Because it is not nothing when that process of becoming more and more nearby the source of yourself, source of being, then yeah, your own basic existence is at stake and has to be dropped. Maybe for some people it is no problem, but to most people it is a problem. And that is the reason why in the tradition is said that the presence of teacher is necessary for liberation. And that was my experience. When yourself or meditating and so on, much can happen. Also in the sense of becoming free. But it's a question if that will be a radical freedom. That liberation is a radical process. And it goes much further than you can imagine. Perhaps you can imagine a little of what it will mean when you are dying. Liberation includes also the dying process. And it is my experience that that in my case it was necessary to have such teachers as Nisargadatta in my neighborhood that facilitated the process. The ego will not drop itself. The ego has the only idea what's happening. Okay, but I want to live further. So at a certain moment that ego has to vanish. How is it possible? you can do nothing about it.
You know when it happened.
Sorry?
You know when it happened.
Yeah, that is that internal consciousness of yourself being.
It collapses, or let's say that some word.
Yeah. Or it vaporizes.
And what did that do to you?
Vaporizes.
Is that a long life process that just fades away?
About that, nobody can say anything. Sometimes it goes very fast. Sometimes it costs a long time. But the fundamental process is not a process in time.
It's direct recognition, but
Yeah, yeah.
all-
And further, now that's the most important, and the rest, when life is going on, all those other levels of life and of self, being yourself, they are living further. But I said it before, in quite another manner than before, because you have your gravity in that openness. And the rest is very relative, transparent. There's no the force of limiting yourself, not the force of making cleavages, making duality.
You know, I'm a bit puzzled about that ego. I do know that the ego is almost an abstraction into experiencing that unity with subject and object. But in the normal course of events of everyday life, has that ego still a function, or is it just simply not there?
Yeah, what I said is that when you have your point of gravity in the basic openness,
Yeah.
and at a lower level in that universal unity,
Mm-hmm.
then all those functions are no problems. That function of life is not problematic. Of course, there are the common things in life as life is going on.
Mm.
But the fundamental point is that you don't have your point of gravity at that level of everyday life, with a limited self, which we call ego.
Yeah, oh, true.
So that is a function, but it is a function in the whole universe. And therefore everything is going by itself.
I sometimes feel that there actually are no problems. There are only solutions to a situation that we name problem. And that in itself, to call it a problem, that seems to be an ego function, to call it something.
Yeah, of course, because problems only can arise when there is duality.
Yeah.
When there is duality, then there will be conflicts
Mm. Mm.
and there are problems. So when you discover a problem, you only have to go to a higher level of unity in order to solve that problem.
Well, it's almost like when this sort of body-mind finds itself in a situation that can be labeled problem by conditioned thinking, okay? For argument, that's just very simple. I've got to come to the conference, I miss the train, and I come late for the conference, and I see that as a big problem. So my reaction to that would be, well, what can I do to get there on time? Or does it matter to get in on time? Is it okay when I come late? There is, when you look at a wider thing, then there are various options that take the stress out of the problem.
Yeah, that's the point. You have a transition to a higher level of unity. And that's a much broader level
Yeah, it is.
than the dualistic level before. Even when it is a relative level of unity. Okay, but then the problem is not severe anymore. But fundamentally, there is that conference on non-duality. And now we have to go by train, and that is a difficulty, and so on. I did my best to come in time, and when there was a pressure and so on, and then, there's an accident.
It's almost like, so.
I cannot go to the conference. And then?
So what?
Yeah, but then, it was a non-duality. At that very moment, liberation can take place. And that is the opening of that limited world.
It is an expansion rather than contraction.
Yeah. And when that expansion is universal, and that is an expansion of yourself, then nothing has to be happening. You have nothing to do anymore.
No.
Nou, de batterij is leeg.
Light.